Hello YouTubers. Now, did it work? Did we get the engine going? Did the cleaning work? Is the engine okay or is it worse? Well, I'll give you a clue. That's your clue. So, not really. Now, it looks like we've saved the injectors. The injectors are okay. We've done a bit more tests on the injectors and they seem to be okay, but it's the pump. It's the pump that's killed us, unfortunately. The pump is just not enough pressure going to the injectors to open them properly. So what we've had to do is, obviously, I've priced up getting a reconditioned pump and reconditioned injectors. It's the guts of £2 so there's no really point doing it. So what we've done is we've got a second-hand engine, which is a third of the price, and fingers crossed, everything's okay. There's no point in me filming because it's just too tight, it's just too messy to try and film taking out this engine. But basically, also what we've done is we took out the tank. As you can see, this is the fuel tank, because again, all the little bits of metal was in the actual tank. So we've cleaned this out. We need to put the tank back. If you're going to do this, you kind of have to do this. If you're going to do this, you kind of have to do this right. So we've cleaned out the tank. We're going to, even though I only just put that filter on before we did all this, I'm going to take the filter off, put a brand new filter on, and to blow all the fuel lines back, to get all the fuel out of this car, all the fuel out of the lines, before we put fresh fuel in for the new engine. Then we're more or less sure we're not going to get any bits of metal crap back through the engine. So what I'm going to do is, this is just basically to say, you know, we still didn't really work properly, but we saved the injectors. This engine is still good, it's just the pump. So basically, to try and take out the pump and to do everything we need to do on it, because as you can see, if you look around here, here is the pump. Now to take off the pump, you obviously have to take off the chain. Now when it's out on the ground like this, not particularly a big deal because you can see everything, but still it was cheaper for us to buy an engine and to take it out than it was to try and do anything with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this engine, and then we can basically, I can do a few videos on this engine, maybe rebuild a few things and then show you outside the car. It just makes everyone's life a lot easier. So that's basically it. So what we're going to do is get an engine tomorrow, and once we get it in and everything also cleaned out, we'll do the last part of the video, and hopefully it's okay. So let's see if the new engine has worked. Now, there's a couple of things I want to get across. Obviously the engine works, that's obvious, because obviously we've got a second-hand engine we put in and it was fine. Now, when on my original video, like I showed you, we had the bits in the diesel filter. Now I knew from then that it was kind of a done deal, but I said I'd go through the steps anyway, because there's a chance, if you don't have the pump problem, you just have the injector problem, then that should work, you know, it's not really a big deal as such. But when you have pump problems from bad diesel, it's just unfortunate the pressure goes in the pump, and even if you change the pump you have to take the engine out anyway, because it's so much easier to get to the timing chain. So it just makes sense to buy a new engine, especially if you can get one cheap enough like we did. So just a quick thing, if you buy one of these Ford or even Jags, there are a lot of people use them now with the Delphi system in. So there's a couple of things you want to look for. When you go to buy the car, you see how easy that starts. That engine's cold, it should start straight away. It should just be instant, whether it's hot or cold. And obviously make sure when you go down, you say, look, can I see the engine from cold? If you've asked the person, can you see the engine from cold, and when you get to it's warm, walk away. I promise you now, walk away. Because if they're genuine people, they don't need to heat the engine. If you have a problem with one of these systems, when the engine is warm, it starts easier. When it's cold, it can be an absolute nightmare to start. and you don't necessarily see any blue smoke or anything coming out. The power could be there, it could be brilliant, it could just be the initial starting, and if it's just starting to play up in the mornings, that's when you could just start having these problems, and obviously it's very, very expensive. If you are looking at one of these cars as well, the other thing to do is you need a good bit of a straight road, and you really need to put your foot down, because it can drive slowly quite well. You know, when you get up to even 60 mile an hour, but quite slowly 60 mile an hour, it can do it quite well. It's normally 4th, 5th and 6th gear, depending on what gearbox you have, where it really starts. And you have to just drop it down to 4 and plant your foot down. If the heater plug light starts flashing, well then you've got problems and the car will cut out. But you have to give it a drive. And if someone doesn't want you to, walk away from the car. If they're genuine people, they don't mind. Now I'm not asking you to absolutely thrash the car in front of them, because obviously you can't do that, but you can drive it on. You can get up to 80 mile an hour on a good stretch of roads, and you're not really thrashing the car. At the end of the day, you'll spend a lot of money on a car, you want to test it. And so that's basically it. You know, I've just gone through the whole kind of spectrum on these videos, so what you can expect and basically what the kind of cheap fixes are. If you go kind of after that, then you know we could have problems. If you do get injectors, you do need them coding, so remember that as well. The car will run, but it won't particularly run happy. You can have like a bad diesel knock. It might not tick over properly, but it will run until you can go down and get your injectors coded. So it's as simple as that. There's no point in showing you the injector coding, because the machine that it takes is very expensive, and not everyone's going to buy it for DIY use. You're just not. I mean, I don't even have one, because they're just ridiculously expensive. So you know, there's no point in me showing you how to do that, because it's just too much. Take it down to your local Ford dealer or local garage that will inject your coders. So look, it's as simple as that. I hope all this kind of series has helped, and especially when you go to look for one, do them few things, because you could end up costing yourself a fortune. So yeah, look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.